All right, let's get started. Today we're going to look at our word or phrase for the day. If Maya earns $14.96 an hour and tells Doug I basically make $15 an hour, then Maya is using a what? She's using a rounded number. Today we're going to look at the following topics. Actually, the application I'll do with you when I return. We're going to cover multiplying decimals and multiplying decimals by powers of 10. All right, I have one example here that I already started. I'm multiplying 2 8/10 by 1 5/10. And at this point, at the end here, I have to remember to place my decimal point appropriately. And the way I do that is to count the number of decimal places that I have. I have 1, 2 decimal places. And so I start at the back of the number and I move the decimal point 2 places to the left to get my answer here, which is 4 2/10. Let's do it again. I'm multiplying by 5/1000ths. Now, I don't have to multiply by these zeros because I'm only going to get 0 when I do, but I do have to count the number of decimal places. In this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I start at the back of the number and I move 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the left to get my answer, which is this. I don't need to add that 0 at the end. So 113 thousandths. I have to be careful not to use the word and unless I'm indicating a decimal point. Now, when we multiply by powers of 10, we can really shorten our work. We have a shortcut. Here are some powers of 10. This is 10 to the first. This is 10 to the second, 10 to the third, 10 to the fourth, 10 to the fifth, 10 to the sixth. And by now you should see the pattern that if I count the number of zeros, that's my exponent. So very simply, if I wanted to write this out, 10 to the ninth, it's simply a 1 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros. And then I move to the left. All right, let's look at some examples and how easy multiplying can be if I'm multiplying by powers of 10. If the power of 10 is 1 or greater, then we're going to move the decimal point to the right because we're making this number bigger. So, for example, if I'm multiplying 6.8 by 10, since there is 1 0 there, I move the decimal point 1 place to the right, and I get my answer 68. Here there are 3 zeros, so I'm going to move the decimal point 3 places to the right, and it will be in back of the 7, so 7. Multiplied by 10 again, 1 place to the right. The decimal point lands behind the digit 2. Now, you should estimate your answer to make sure your answer makes sense, and here's how I would estimate. I know that 10 times 99 is 990. So my answer here has to be a little bit more than 990, which it is, so my answer makes sense. Now, if the power of 10 is written in exponential form, then we know that this is actually 526 3/10 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100,000. And we count the number of zeros. There are 5, and so we're going to move the decimal point from in back of the 6, 5 places to the right. Now the 3 counts as one of those places. So to move it 5 places to the right, I need to add 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts the decimal point right there. And so if we put our commas in here, we have 52,630,000. Now, I actually don't have to do this step. All I needed to do was look at the 5 and move the decimal point 5 places to the right. So let's try it here. 78.1, I'm going to take the decimal point from where it is, I'm going to move it 3 places to the right, which means I need to add 2 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, it was here, it's now here, and I get 78,100. So keep in mind that if I'm multiplying by a power of 10 that is positive, the decimal point gets moved to the right this number of places, or in this case, 3, the number of zeros. Now in these 4 examples, notice I'm multiplying by a negative power of 10, or a number less than 1. In all of these cases, the decimal point is now going to move to the left. And how many places? Well, if there's 1 decimal place here, then the decimal point goes from where it is to the left 1 place. So I'm going to move it from here to the left to get 8.83 or 8 83/100. How many decimal places? 2. I'm going to move it 2 to the left. Now the answer is 883 thousandths. In this example, 1, 2, 3. Well, if I'm going to move it 3 places to the left, then I need to add some zeros here. So to move it 3 places, I have to put 2 zeros right there. I'm writing that lightly to get my answer. So 1 place, 2 places, 3 places. 1, 2, 3 decimal places. There's 4 decimal places in this last example. The decimal point is behind the last digit. So moving it 4 to the left, it ends up in front of the 8. Oh, excuse me, that's 8,237 10,000ths. So in summary here, if I'm multiplying by a number 1 or greater, the decimal point will move to the right. But if I'm multiplying by a decimal, the decimal point moves to the left. Right, left. Easy to remember.